Well, I tell you, it was exciting to get out here first day in helmets, and we've had the opportunity to hit walkthroughs and OTA type stuff the last couple weeks, which has been awesome. Really and truly, 2 weeks ago was the first time we'd been able to get together since March 12th, and so that's been really good. Just being able to get the guys back around each other. A lot of excitement, a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm as they took the field today. You can tell the team's hungry. You can tell that they want it. We're going to be smart with them too. This has been a abnormal off-season training. So we don't want to go too much. We really wanted to go no more than an hour and a half practice today. We wanted to make sure we were very smart about water breaks, Powerade breaks, and just making sure that we're asking them to do what their bodies can do. But I thought they came out with a great energy. I thought our coaches did a really good job today, and very excited about this group.
What are you expecting from your players as far as the bubble goes? What kind of parameters were set up to make sure that they're trying to stay as inside as they can?
Well, obviously at the facility, it's making sure that our meeting spaces are big enough so that we can social distance. Obviously, we're asking them to wear a mask when we're inside in those meetings. We're making sure we're spread out. We've had to get really creative in our building, using space that maybe we haven't used before. But we're being very, very smart about that. Once we get out here on the field, we're never in a group setting more than 10 minutes. And as they are in those group settings, we're making sure that we're getting them spaced out when we're in that type of drill. And, away from here, it's just the constant encouragement of 6 feet, wear a mask, make sure you're never inside 6 feet more than 15 minutes, and all the things that are going along with social distancing. We're asking our players to be very player-led in this. Our coaches are constantly reminding them every day. Our medical staff and training staff are doing a really good job of continuing to update them with what the guidelines and what we're allowed to do. Not a single thing that we've done, practice field, weight room, meeting room, anything like that has gone against anything that the medical staff. We've always made sure that gets checked off, that they approve of it, and our guys are doing a good job with it. Obviously you can't be with them 24/7, so you got to encourage them. If we're going to be a great team, if we're going to be a championship team, you got to be able to do right when no one's looking. So, for the most part, I think we're doing a really good job. And if we see some issues, we're obviously going to address them, and I hope our leadership will address it.
Is there any more fear when the crew gets back and everybody's together that it'll be a little bit tougher?
Of course. I mean, you can't sit there and say, man, when 21,000 students come back, that you're going to not feel a little bit of uncertainty with it. Again, though, I think it's very important on our guys. What do you really want to focus on? What do you really want to do? Because a lot of the 21,000 that come back are not going to have the same goals that we may have. And so obviously it's going to matter about who we're hanging with and who we're around, and making sure that we stay as close to our group as we can and try to keep that bubble as secure as we can.
With the changes, like the scheduling and then the unknowns of COVID, what's been the message with the team, to the team throughout this process?
Control the controllable. If you start trying to control what you can't control, you're going to have issues. And then today, a little bit of the message after practice today was embrace the grind. Embrace the day. I'm not going to try to steal from anybody, but you really have to go and say, hey, are we going to win this day, or are we going to lose this day? And that's what it's got to be about. The great thing about our guys, though, we've been preaching that for 3 years. What's important now, and so the things they're hearing, they've always heard. And we've always understood that there's going to be adversity. Well, this year's adversity right now is a pandemic and social injustice and all the different things that 2020 is bringing. And, and we got to be able to take that head on. We got to make sure we're using our platform correctly, and we got to make sure that we're doing things right.
Have there been any conversations between you and coaches or players about opting out this season due to COVID-related stuff that you've seen across the country?
No, we've had the conversation that, I've obviously told the team, I've told the staff that if somebody is uncomfortable, they do not feel good about what we're doing, or not necessarily what we're doing, but it's just, man, coach, this is too much for me, and I'm very unsure about doing this. Our coaches, myself, have over and over again encouraged guys to come talk to us and say, hey, coach, I don't feel good. And I've explained to them that, even before the NCAA came out, my mindset was if a guy didn't feel good about it, it's fine, man. We're not going to kick you to the curb. We're going to make sure that you're taken care of. We're going to find a way to work through it with you. We're going to try to educate you to help you know what we're trying to do with you. But to answer your question, no one has come to us to talk about opting out.
Is it something that, as a coach, I'm sure you've got a million things on your mind during a practice, and especially this time of year, the heat and trying to keep guys, but is that another thing that just kind of goes in your head and you're trying to make sure that everybody's, okay, separate them a little bit? I mean, how difficult is that as a coach?
Well, here's how I've approached it. I've told our coaches, go coach. Go coach. Me, strength staff, operations staff, we're going to make sure on making sure that we're safe and we're doing things the right way. What I don't want is our coaches, in the back of their mind, they got to worry about, is this guy far enough apart, this guy far enough apart. Hey, if we're going to play football, we got to play football. And so we got our coaches on that. But I'm going to make sure I'm held accountable. I'm going to make sure that our strength staff and our support staff are doing a really good job to continue to remind our guys. And it's hard because I'm going to tell you now, our football team is a close group, man, and they love one another. They love hanging out with one another. And, I thought, 6 foot, that's not a big deal. That's not a big deal. But when you can't have a team meeting in a meeting room setting, you can't bring them up in a huddle and break it down at the end or be able to talk to them. It's funny how they start inching toward one another. And but we're doing a good job with that, and we just got to continue. To me, this is going to be a learned discipline. We can't expect it to be perfect right away. It's something that, we'll, in our staff meeting today, we'll go through and we'll talk about each period of practice, and we'll go, okay, what did we do that was not good for social distancing? What can we do to make that a little bit better? So we're trying to learn every day, and we're trying to do better every day.
Coach, usually you have a week one opponent in mind when you start fall camp. How has that changed these last couple of days, and how are you guys adjusting to that?
Doesn't change at all. Our opponent's Georgia Southern Eagles right now, and that's the way we'll focus on it. We got to make sure, I understand Boise, I understand the whole thing's up in the air, and but if we start worrying about that at this point, we're going to be in trouble. We got to make sure that we're getting our offense ready, our defense ready, our special teams ready, and do what we do. And then when we understand who we will be game planning for, that's when we can start moving along. So I'd say right now the opponent's the Georgia Southern Eagles right now.
Coach, you've lost a couple of games. How important is it to try to get some back to you? And during that process, how much are you and Jared talking? And are there some things you're like, I don't know if we can do this. I think I'd rather play this person, or what kind of communication do you have?
Jared does an awesome job. We're probably on the phone 10, 15 times a day talking about scheduling. My personal opinion on it, I just want to make sure our guys' bodies are ready to play. I do feel like we can get them ready by September 5th, but we just got to make sure that we're being very, very smart. But again, I've expressed that to Jared. Hey, I want to make sure their bodies are right before we put them out there on that field, because if you don't, there's going to be issues later in the season, and so we got to be very mindful of that. When you ask my opinion about wanting to get those games, I want those games, but the main reason I want those games is I want it for our senior class. I want them the ability to get that student athlete experience that they came to Georgia Southern for. Be able to go play those 12 games, and then a 13th game for the Sun Belt Championship, and then a 14th game for a bowl game. I want them to get that experience. So, whether it's right or wrong physically, we're going to leave that up to the medical staff and make sure that we're doing everything right with that. But as far as want to, yeah, I'd love for them to get all 14 games.
When do you feel like you'd need to know if you're playing on the 5th or not?
The 4th? No, I would be, gosh, man, that's a tough question, because normally what you do in training camp, is you worry about yourself that first few, and then when you get to school, it's still a little bit more about your scheme, what you do, and then as you get closer to the game, it's more about game planning. I don't think it'll be hard getting our players ready for what we're going to do. I just think it's a little bit harder for the coaching staff because now because our days are set. All right, we're working on looking at practice film. We're working on looking at whatever we're doing, and then we're going to set aside time to work for our opponent so that we're ahead, we're organized. So that makes it a little bit tough. But again, if you want to look at it another way, is that first game is just like playing a second or third game where now you got to flip the switch from the last team you played and you go to the next one. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it right now, as this first game is just like playing another game right after a game, and you just got to turn it around that quick.
Who were some guys in the first practice and the last few weeks of meetings that have stuck out to you?
Well, I can't say enough about our senior class right now. Tremendous job leading, tremendous job of bringing young guys along. We have had some young guys really jump out to us. Sam Randolph's been a guy in the defensive secondary. Anthony Fieldings has been a guy in the defensive secondary. Ephraim Kitchens, he's a guy that's really shown some things. Braylon Peterson. Some of these new guys that we've kind of brought in mid-year. Justin Harris obviously showed us something during spring ball, so expecting big things out of him. Emil Smith's another receiver that hadn't played a whole lot for us but has the skill set and the tools, so very excited about him. Jalen White is another one that I'm very excited about. I cannot wait till Gerald Green gets a bigger role in our offense also. We got a really good backfield, man. So, I'm probably leaving some guys out, but very excited about our young guys, but really proud of our old guys for their leadership.
Coach, the NCAA is going to allow guys to wear patches or different names, and we asked Shy, who said that's something that the team has talked about briefly. How much involvement do you have in that as a coach? Is it kind of something you let the players kind of not lead, but do themselves, and you kind of oversee it? How would that work in your program?
Well, I've continued to encourage them to use their platform. I would love for this part of it to be player-led, but I do think it's important that not only myself gets looped in, but also Jared, the president. I can't say enough about Jared and Dr. Marrero. We've had a team meeting in Hanner where we had everybody spaced out, but they came and was able to talk to them a little bit about pandemic, racism, social injustice, the battles that you fight as a public university. And they did a tremendous job. And I've never seen a president and athletic director do what they did. I mean, they opened it up to questions and answers. It wasn't just a message and then leave. I mean, they opened it up. I know Shai and Rashad have had weekly meetings with Dr. Marrero. So the big piece to me is I just want us all to be on the same team here. I want to make sure that our players are using their platform, our administration feels comfortable, and I want to make sure Dr. Marrero's involved in this. So to answer your question, we just all got to come together and make sure we do it the right way for Georgia Southern. Thank y'all. GATA.